those of this station, the station's network, any other affiliates under this network, or its sponsors. Unless they do, and then we'll totally take credit for them, because this is radio, and that's how we roll.
Here we go.
News, sports, comedy, politics, everything you would expect in a morning show. Faster than the fastest nightmare. Brighter than the dullest dream.
Right here.
Right now. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill. Grab your coffee and hang on. For the next 2 hours, the unexpected will haunt you, entertain you, and drive you absolutely insane. So let's get started. Here's Uncle Bill.
Oh, man. You people are so kind. It's so nice to start out a Monday morning with a room full of happy people. Well, I don't know if I can actually say happy people because we are in a real bad position here in north central Illinois, southern Wisconsin, as we have flooding all over the area. Now, it's not severe, but they classify it as a moderate flooding. And, boy, if you're anywhere near the river, you've got flooding because we are above flood stage. Flood stage is 9.6, and we are at 11-something. Last report, I'm not really sure where we're at, but down at the Belvedere Park, there is a fishing pier that sits well above the river, and it's a handicap fishing pier, and I've seen the water as high as the bottom of that fishing pier. Well, I was told yesterday by a fellow that was down at the park that the water is at least 2 to 3 inches over the floorboards on that fishing pier. So that means that a good percentage of the park is flooded, and it hasn't flooded like this, for at least, I'm going to say, a good 10 years. So it's one of those situations that it's just one of those precautionary. The rivers have been shut down. The Rock River has been shut down in 4 counties that I'm aware of. And the Kishwaukee River, which runs through Belvedere, has been shut down to boaters, rafters, tubers, anybody that is, nobody's allowed on the water at all. And, you know, what's really amazing to me is, excuse me, what's really amazing to me is that the gentleman that was down in the park yesterday reported to me that the kids are down in the park jumping off of park benches into the water, and they're just playing in this water and I said, are you serious? I cannot believe I'm getting echo, Big D. I said, I cannot believe that people are allowing kids to play in this water. And he goes, oh, come on, lighten up. He said, the water's only 2 feet deep there. I've heard that story before. And I said, they'll have fun till somebody drowns, and then it'll be the park's fault for allowing the kids to in the park. And I mean, why don't they shut the gates in the park? Of course, your kids can walk around you can't drive into the park, but you can walk in. But somebody should be down there enforcing that. I mean, what's it going to take? A drowning for them to wake up and realize you don't play in floodwaters? There's washouts. There's all kinds of things that take place under surface water. And I just can't believe how complacent some people are about that kind of thing. Keep your kids away from the river, folks. If you're listening and you've got kids that like to go down and play in the water, get them out of there. Let them play in the water that's in the ditch along the side of the road or in your backyard that builds up, as long as it's not connected right to the river. Oh, so I had to just grandstand there for a moment there this morning. Got a couple things we got to do before we bring our show host on, or co-host on. 67 degrees in Belvedere right now. It feels like 67 degrees as the winds are mild at 12 miles per hour, gusting to 12. We get 76% humidity, scattered clouds, and a high today of 77. So we're in a little cooling trend here, which is going to help things kind of dry out a little bit. And we can go, let's see, the next prediction is actually a week from today. Looks like there could be some rain on Thursday, which is the next possibility for some, there's about a 70% chance. So let's look towards Thursday for the next amount of rainfall. But right now it's going to be a cooling and then a warming trend, 77 today, 81 tomorrow with lots of sunshine, 84 on Wednesday, and then Thursday, 81 with a 70% chance of rain. So that's kind of a future forecast, a look at what the weather's going to be. But please, please stay away from the rivers, and if there's any water on the roadway or standing anywhere, stay out of it. And most of the water that's on the streets have settled by now. And so, it amazes me how many people still want to drive through water. I know they think they're driving a boat or something, or their car's going to automatically float. And it just never ceases to amaze me how stupid people really are. And how fast a car can flood out, and then you're left stranded in water, and then we have to pay large tax dollars to have somebody come and rescue you. Just irritates me. Second thing, if you are a visitor to BNNS Radio and you are in our exact chat box, I want you to do something for me this morning as we are experimenting this morning, if I can talk right. We are experimenting this morning with a new chat box. Exact Chat has been having some issues, and Craig has been having difficulty getting on to Exact, and other users have also claimed that they've had to try 5 times to get on Exact, and for some reason it didn't want to run. And Exact does require flash player on your system in order for it to operate. So we are trying a new chat box, and it is called Minute, MINNIT Again, I'm going to repeat that. That's MINNIT.chat/BNNS Radio. And if you go to that, and you have to sign up, you have to sign in with the password and everything. And that's in order to change your name. Of course, you can go in as a guest, but we'd prefer if you change your name and become a regular in our chat box. That would be greatly appreciated. And we're going to give that a try and see if that doesn't eliminate the problems of people signing on to our chat box. And if after this week, after we've tried it this week, and if it works out real well and people have no real major complaints with it, I will change the embedding on our Facebook page, our website, and so that anybody wanting to chat, it'll take you directly to the Minute chat box instead of Exact. Maybe we can get rid of Exact and eliminate a lot of people's problems that they have with the Exact. That being said, we got a lot of interesting things to come up with and discuss today, but before we can do all that,
Big D, co-host on the morning show with Uncle Bill, right here on BNNS Radio. You'll wonder how you ever got along without him.
I think he forgot where the mute button was again.
No, I was diving for it. Sorry.
What are you across the room when I start the show?
Sometimes.
Man. Don't you know dead air is a taboo on radio?
Well, if that's the case.
If I'm on YouTube, I look like an idiot just sitting here going, while you're diving.
I 2 points to make. We go back and check since we've started and how many days worth of dead air we've got, and I'm not even going to touch that other one.
Not my fault.
I'm not even going to touch the second one. Anyway.
What's the second one?
About how you look sitting on screen.
Okay, I know I look like Walter.
Okay.
You've already filled me in on that. I'm a grumpy old man. I'm almost 73 years old. I have a right to look that way.
Have you noticed that as you get older, the corners of your mouth go further towards your chin?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we do more frowning than we do smiling in this society.
Which is incredible because this society is lazy, and it's proven. It is medical. It takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown.
Right. We need to smile more. But have you ever tried to talk while you were smiling? It makes you sound different and makes you look weird, doesn't it?
Makes you look creepy. Come here, little boy. Want some candy?
Also joining us this morning, all the way from Omaha, is our research analyst, our program director, and co-program director with Miss Liz, is Craig out there in Omaha. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning.
He doesn't have any trouble finding the mute button, D.
I need to apologize.
What's that for?
Because I didn't find the mute button and I cleared my throat while I was on the air. I thought that my mic was muted.
That was me. I took responsibility for that.
All right.
Hey, before we get started, here on BNNS, we always try to be a little serious once in a while. Our hearts go out to the folks in San Antonio, Texas. Do you guys hear about this one? A tractor and trailer at a Walmart in San Antonio, Texas was found when they investigated and opened up the back. They found about 40 people, illegal immigrants, in the back of the truck. 8 had already passed, and I understand as of right now 3 or 4 more are not expected to make it.
Well,
and so I just wanted to say, regardless of the circumstances, situations, our hearts go out to those folks, and to their families.
I agree with you, and I have to send sympathies like you with, to those people, but. And I have to add the but on there, D. Didn't they realize the risk of being locked in a semi with 100 people in there? That first of all, you're going to suffer a lack of oxygen. And second of all, you're driving out in California where the temperature, and they're crossing the desert, which is really high temperatures. And the possibility that, and I mean, what are you thinking when you get into that kind of a situation? I mean, it doesn't lessen the sympathy, but what are you thinking?
It just, some of these people are actually coming here for a better life. I get it. But you know what? As many years as we've heard horror stories about the coyotes, the people that move them from place to place, the horror stories that we've heard, and they still do it. I mean, they arrested the truck driver, and here's the thing. The pictures show it looks like this truck is supposed to have a cooling unit on it, on the trailer.
Well, then, I guess what depends on what charges are filed against this truck driver would be, did he start out with this cooling unit working?
Well, there was no air conditioning in the truck.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the truck had a unit on it. The trailer had a unit on it.
You mean like a reefer that would do cool like vegetables kind of?
I was going to say, for those that don't know what their term, it's called a reefer.
That's it. I was just trying to remember that.
They said on the news last night that there was no reefer. There was none. This was not a cooling semi. This was just a straight semi trailer for dry goods, or you know what I'm saying, non-perishable shipping.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. I used to load and unload trailers for a trucking outfit in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Lumper.
And I can tell you right now that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I've actually touched my shoulder up against the wall of a trailer in Oklahoma during summer and gotten a burn. It's an oven in there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What were these people thinking? Now, I realize these people are desperate, and this may be. And how much did they pay for this trip? I don't know what people are thinking. Are they that desperate to come someplace where they really aren't going to be accepted anyway?
Well, look at Mexico. There are parts of Mexico where work is plentiful, but there's a large part of Mexico where you have to tolerate all of the drug dealers and their people and the drug gangs. And Mexico, bless their heart, the cops down there are trying to do what they can. But half of the cops down there are so corrupt, they sell each other out. And the Mexican government doesn't do anything, in my opinion, to stop this.
Well, I think what's precipitated this type of an offense is, number one, money. I'm sure this truck driver got paid a ton of money from each individual. By Mexican standards, it was a lot of money, and he probably got paid a lot of money. But what also I believe has precipitated this is that if you read current reports from agencies, Border Patrol is reporting that illegal border crossings are way down significantly.
I guess that happened very soon after Trump got in office. They really started dropping.
Exactly. And so Border Patrols President Trump has ordered the Border Patrol to do whatever's necessary to stop the crossings. And they've done that. And they've slowed down significantly the amount of crossings. So these people coming into the United States, and they're being stopped at port of entries. And so these people are going to desperate measures to get into the United States. So I guess that's the motivation that would cause you to climb into a oven and hope for the best. Sadly, some of them drug their children along, and they're not expected to make it either. So,
well, all I know is this truck driver and anybody connected with him cannot be dead enough.
Well, I'm sure this guy is going to face some real serious criminal charges if he doesn't get killed first.
That's the thing. His employer may not appreciate the fact he got caught.
Yeah, that part didn't occur to me, that they may hire him dead.
Yeah,
well,
a lot
of these people that were in the back of the truck fled. As soon as those doors were open, they were bailing and they fled, and they lost like 80% of the people that were in that truck. And those people may just be looking for this guy, even though he's been arrested.
Well, it's not only
the people that were in the back of the truck may be looking for him.
Yeah.
Oh, they're too busy trying to get the hell out of San Antonio.
True.
No, actually, the employers do not look upon failure very well. That's why some of these people, and that's why a lot of these folks that they have in the drug trade, Bill, they're so hard to arrest because they are more afraid of their boss than they are of you.
Yeah.
You know.
We truly are blessed to live in the country we live in.
Well, my question has always been, if this country's so damn bad, why are so many damn people trying to get into it?
Yep. That's right.
If we've got so many wrongs and ills, and we're such a racist, hateful, phobic country, why are so many people trying to get here?
Let me tell you what happened yesterday, and what's happened throughout the past week. I've been thinking a lot about lately. I've been thinking a lot about our radio broadcast and other things that I've been involved in or am involved in. And I suddenly realized this past week, God has been working on me. I know he has, because I've really been struggling throughout this whole last couple of weeks with this idea of negativity. And I got to thinking about negativity, and I've been praying about it, trying to read about it, and I began to realize that if you really look, there are tons and tons and tons of good things that are happening in this country. People are helping people. People are going out of their way to do for others. They're giving way, way beyond their means to help the homeless, the hungry. I look at our small church and what we put out every week in food boxes and how we've helped other people in other situations and so on and so forth. And I just think of us as one speck of sand on an entire beach when it comes to churches around the country. And I don't want to make it sound like only churches are doing good things, but think of all the veterans organizations, the community service groups that are holding and doing great things in their communities. They're building places for the homeless. They're building places for they're going out and they're rebuilding houses for people. Churches all over the country are sending children out in teams to help. And all it is a matter of just fixing and replacing a few boards and painting a house and sprucing it up a little bit for people that can't afford the repairs and so on and so forth. And I just began to realize that this is just a major snowball. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger when you really start looking for it. So on the whole, basically what I'm trying to say is that there's more good in this country than there is negative. The sad part of the whole scenario is that the only thing that we really get is the negative from mainstream media. Now, I listened to a gentleman this morning, and if somebody posted it on Facebook, and it was of a preacher who was he was one of these real Bible thumper preachers that you hear about, but he was quite good actually. But 12 years ago, he made a prophetic message or delivered a prophetic message to a group of people, which prophetic meaning a prophecy type of message. And the question that was on top of this video was, are we at this, is this 12-year prophecy coming true? Where God has promised us 4 years of peace. And it goes on to mention United States, Russia, Asia, and Europe. It seems that President Trump is pulling all of these countries together. He talked in his 12-minute message, and that's why I'm not going to play it. Number one, the quality of it was very poor, of the audio, and kind of hard to follow because of the poor quality. But he talked about doing away with the UN, the United Nations, and isn't that what Trump is trying to do now? And there were other things throughout his 12-minute message that it's happening. It's actually taking place, and which is 4 years of peace that God has promised us. And you can just go to my webpage or my Facebook page and find it. You can go to BNNS Radio and Facebook page, and you should be able to find the video. But it really came down to the point that, I really began to, and I said in our Bible study class yesterday that I'm finding out that there's far more good going on in this country than there is bad. But we have been brainwashed so significantly by the media and all forms of media, even this radio station, that we have bombarded our listeners and the people of the world. We have bombarded them with nothing but negativity. And we've all started taking on such a negative attitude towards one another. There is an interesting letter. Let me pull it up here. There's an interesting letter that came out over the weekend. And, excuse me, some of you may have heard this, and I know it has been on Facebook at some time or another, but it hasn't been out for quite a while, but it resurfaced over the weekend. And when you listen to it, it really makes a lot of sense. Now, there's a catch to it, and I'll reveal it when I'm done reading this here. Just bear with me, if you will, for a few moments. Y'all know George Carlin, right? Craig, you're muted.
Yeah.
Okay, Big D, you know. Craig, he said he knew. All right, George Carlin, foul-mouthed, claimed atheistic type of man, although he believes somewhat in God, but yet he has lots of questions for God. And probably one of the most intelligent comedians out there in the world, or he makes you think. And after his wife died, this letter came out. And it goes like this. Isn't it amazing that the George Carlin, gross and mouthy comedian of the 70s and 80s, could write something so very eloquent and so very appropriate post 9/11? Message goes like this, and it's really not that long. A wonderful message by George Carlin. The paradox of our time in history that we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. We spend more but have less. We buy more but enjoy less. We have bigger houses but smaller families. More conveniences but less time. We have more degrees but less sense. More knowledge but less judgment. More experts, yet more problems. More medicine but less wellness. We drink too much, smoke too much, spend too recklessly, laugh too little, drive too fast, get too angry, stay up too late, get up too tired, read too little, watch TV too much, and pray too seldom. We have multiplied our possessions, but reduced our values. We talk too much, love too seldom, and hate too often. We've learned how to make a living, but not a life. We've added years to life, not life to years. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet a new neighbor. We conquered outer space, but not our inner space. We've done larger things, but not better things. We've cleaned up the air, but polluted the soul. We've conquered the atom, but not our prejudice. We write more, but learn less. We plan more, but accomplish less. We've learned to rush, but not to wait. We build more computers to hold more information, to produce more copies than ever, but we communicate less and less. These are the times of fast foods and slow digestion, big men and small character, steep profits and shallow relationships. These are the days of two incomes, but more divorces. Fancier houses, but broken homes. These are the days of quick trips, disposable diapers, throwaway morality, one-night stands, overweighted bodies, and pills that do everything from cheer to quiet to kill. It is time when there is much in the showroom window and nothing in the stockroom. A time when technology can bring this letter to you, and a time when you can choose either to share this insight or to just hit the delete. Remember, spend some time with your loved ones because they are not going to be around forever. Remember, say a kind word to someone who looks up to you in awe because that little person soon will grow up and leave your side. Remember to give a warm hug to the one next to you because that is the only treasure that you can give with your heart, and it doesn't cost a cent. Remember to say, I love you to your partner and your loved ones, but most of all, mean it. A kiss and an embrace will mend hurt when it comes from deep inside of you. Remember to hold your hands and cherish the moment, for someday that person will not be there again. Give time to love, give time to speak, and give time to share the precious thoughts in your mind. Now, that story was attributed to and posted as a letter from George Carlin, but that is not fact. The truth of the matter is that this letter was actually written by a minister. He is a minister, author, and former pastor of the Overtake Christian Church in Redmond, Washington. George Carlin has spoken out many times and declaimed ever writing this letter. But it has been attributed to him anyway, but it actually came from a pastor, Dr. Moorhead, George Moorhead. But I think that letter speaks a lot of our society. And I think every word of that message, I don't care who wrote it, whether it was Carlin, Moorhead, or even you, Big D, if you were to write those words, I think it says a lot. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And it goes hand in hand with what you said. I think a lot of people are starting to realize the things that you were mentioning in that letter. I think there's more people out there who are aware of the things that you were talking about. Yeah, Craig.
No, I disagree with you, Big D. I think that you may be seeing this, and I should say our age group is seeing this, and a lot of people are starting to realize this. But I see an awful lot of the younger folk that don't. They're still buying the great big fancy houses, and like it mentions in the what Bill read, they're buying the big fancy houses, but they're not building homes. The kids are still kind of like a balloon exploding. Kids are just going all kinds of directions, and instead of the parents making a home by keeping the kids around the house, the parents are following the kids around. They're spending their entire time, sending them to baseball or football or ballet or something like that, and they're not making them a home. Whereas people our age, we're looking back at our lives when we saw, I'm guessing you guys were like this, I kept my kids at home with me they did have their outings, but it was one night a week, maybe a day on the weekend for my kids were into martial arts. But they weren't gone every night of the week. We stayed home. We had family time watching television, the kids arguing in the background while I watch TV, or the kids arguing while they're doing dishes. But at least they're interacting. We're all interacting with other.
Well, see, around here and where I've grown up, and I think I told Bill this, Craig, we're actually looking, if we don't change things soon, it's going to become a serious problem, because we're actually looking at the last generation, in my opinion, that believes that family is the most important thing.
Well, there are, in some of my readings and research that I've done in the last 2 weeks, is revealing that there are younger families, and I'm talking about people that are in their 40s, their 50s, not the millennials, but the next generation after the baby boomer and before the millennials, that in-between group of people, the 40s, the 50s, they're now coming to the realization that exactly what this letter said, that we're, like Craig said too, is we're building houses, but we're not making homes. And so now some families have started taking their children, and when they come home, their cell phones go in the drawer or in a compartment. They They have to leave their cell phone. They cannot carry their cell phones with them. And when you're at the dinner table, there's no cell phones, there's no iPads, there's no form of other. It's going to be family time. This is the time, and there are families that are starting to convert to this direction. However, I also agree with what Craig said, that there are far too many families out there that believe that their kid has to be involved in every single sport that they can get their grips into. And they have to be involved in ballet, dance, plays, sports of any kind. They've always got to be doing something. And I agree with Craig wholeheartedly. We need more family time where we sit down. Now, one of Maureen and I's greatest moments of the day, in my opinion, I mean, every moment with Maureen is good, but we spend, when I come home from the studio, we sit down, and sometimes for up to an hour, we just sit in this living room and we sit and talk. We talk about her day. We talk about my day. We talk about other people's days. We talk about other happenings. There's just a lot of things we talk about. And people ask me the question, well, how do you find so much to talk about? Well, it's easy if you just sit down and talk. Because somebody will say something and it just leads into something else, and then that leads to something else, then that leads to something else. And it's not at all difficult to sit there for an hour and just visit. And if we did more of that with our families and our children, just think what you could get out of it. Just think what it would be. I bet you if you surveyed, I'm going to guesstimate 80% of the adults today that have children in the teenage bracket, if you ask them, what was your children's day like today? They couldn't answer you.
Can I tie that together just to add a little bit where I was going?
Absolutely.
Just what you said, taking the time to sit and talk, how can you do that? It's easier when you have a close relationship. When we're sending our kids out, just what you said, going every evening of the week, they have to be going somewhere. They have to be doing something. Well, what I was talking about with my kids in the house, yeah, they're arguing in the background. Yeah, they're arguing while they're doing dishes. Yeah, they spat here and there. But they're also not arguing when they're doing dishes at times. They're also not arguing in the background. They're also not arguing when they're outside playing. There's times of arguing and not arguing, but the important thing is that they're interacting with each other. Just a minute, Bill. And it's tough to build a close relationship with someone if you're not interacting with them a lot. Well, I wanted my kids to interact with each other so that when they get older, they're going to have close relationships with their family and not random relationships with this friend for 5 years, with that friend for 10 years, etc.
But isn't that exactly what's happening in your family? Aren't your kids getting along better today than they were when they were at home?
We get many, many compliments and comments that how close our family is. And I'm not talking about just my kids, but our immediate family, my sister, Debbie's brothers, everyone. We're very, very, very close. And we've heard many comments. Well, people tell the kids, people tell us, God, I wish our family was like that.
Exactly. That is exactly right, because we were brought up that way, and my children were brought up that way, and today, families are, you think your kids are never going to love each other and that they're going to drift apart and never see. But some of like your family, for example, I mean, when there's a celebration or a backyard barbecue I remember you used to having 4th of July events, and God, you had people coming out of the woodwork.
We had 50 to 75 people at our 4th of July parties, and they were either family or they were extremely close friends.
But mostly family.
Mostly family. Probably 3/4 of them were family.
And think back when we were small. How many times, and I've got proof of this, but how many times did families get together and have a backyard dinner?
Back then.
Or cookout?
Yep, back then.
I've got videos, I've got movies from our family, because it goes way back, and I've got photographs that goes way back to Grandma Vallant's house, when almost every weekend they had a gathering of some sort. And in fact, I remember making the comment many times, what? Is that all the Vallant family ever does is eat? Because all these films are the family getting together and having a backyard cookout where we're all eating.
We also get comments. I'd like to add this. Our family, whenever we say goodbye, we always say, I love you. And we always hug. And I have heard, personally, I have heard people comment, God, I wish my family was like that.
Yep.
And we went to dinner this past weekend with some friends, the gal Debbie grew up with. Well, we talked about that. She met her in kindergarten. But anyway, they've stayed close friends. And, of course, when Debbie and I got married, I became close friends with her and her husband. And just dinner this past weekend, I gave them both hugs and told them both that I love them. We have a personal relationship with them because we interact with them. We sat at dinner and we talked, 3 times longer than anyone else in the restaurant. I apologized to the waitress for taking up the table so long. Because we have a personal relationship. We spend time with them. We're not constantly running. We don't have a half-hour dinner with them and then rush to go do this. I've had my kids as adults that now they have thanked me for being strict with them, for putting the values in them that they have. And their families are all strong marriages because they've, like we often do, we take after what our parents. And in my family, we were fortunate that we had a stable household. So my kids now have stable households.
D?
Now that I've gone on and on and on.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. D?
I'm just very proud.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, I mean, like I started to say, the big thing is that, and I see a lot of this, is, again, we're the last generation. When we're gone, family is not going to mean we're not going to see a resemblance, in my opinion, we're not going to see a resemblance of family the way we know it. And I'll give you a prime example. All through my kids' life, I taught them that family is the only true thing, God and family are the only things in the world that you can trust. Everything else is questionable. That at the end of the day, it's about family. And today, okay, my son's got his wife and 2 kids, and I don't expect him to be at my house 3 or 4 nights a week. But yet, I would like to see my grandkids more than 4 times a year. My daughter, bless her heart, I know she loves me. But because of outside influences, because of new things in the world, I haven't heard from my daughter in almost 3 months.
Well, what are they in the millennial age, or where are they at?
I can't keep up with Generation X, Y.
How old are they?
My son is 30 and my daughter's 25.
Right,
Now,
they're the millennials.
But they're good people.
Sure they are, but that is the millennial coming up, is that they're part of that generation that their head is so far into social media and running that they don't know how to communicate. They don't realize the significance of going home to see dad once in a while, and so on and so forth. Family, like in that letter, we're building houses but not homes.
But
and
something you have to add in, Bill, in my experience and other younger folks that I've observed, with my kids, they really didn't come around to understanding that, Mom and Dad weren't so stupid after all. And they really didn't start coming around to visit as much until they got to be about 30, early 30s, I'll say late 20s to early 30s. And I've noticed that in other families as their kids reached, legal age.
Yeah.
That they really didn't come around as much until they got, like I say, late 20s to early 30s. Then they really started understanding family more and coming around.
Well, see, I saw this a lot when I was on the police department. I saw young people that I would have bet you money were going to end up in jail. They were going to end up in prison, or they were going to end up dead. And yet I see those young people today, and they're in their 40s, 50s, and they're responsible parents, they're responsible adults. They have families of their own. They have children of their own. And they are, the 99% of them are good. And they always, I remember when you was a cop, and blah, blah, blah. And we reminisce and we retell stories. And people eventually grow up. They grow out of their wild life. But I'm just curious about the millennial group coming up. And I'm trying desperately, and I'm really trying desperately to have a positive attitude about what's coming forth and not be so negative. I find it very difficult because you see so much negativity and you hear so much negativity, and you have to wonder, but yet hidden in the background, I want you to please remember this, hidden in the background, there is always something good happening somewhere.
Oh, it's like my kids. I mean, bless their hearts. My son, like I said, my kids are good kids. But, and at the end of the day, if my wife and I called them up and we said, we need you here, they'd be here in a minute, in a cold stone minute. But like when the kids were growing up with me, and I'll just leave this. I used, no matter how tired I was, no matter how long a day I'd had, at least every other weekend we made the trek down here to Franklin so that the grandparents could see the grandkids. And we made, at least once a week, we made the trek up to Kennesaw to see my mother. And that's just not in the cards anymore. Like I said, there's so many outside factors that we didn't have to deal with. There are so many jobs anymore that young people have. You might work 7 to 2 for 2 days, and then next week you're working 11 to 6, and 1 week your off days may be Monday and Tuesday, and the next week they might be Friday and Thursday or Friday and Sunday, and it's I don't know. I think it's a combination of things, but I truly think that, again, let me just say this and then I'm done. The family-oriented, outside of the immediate family, the family-oriented, we're looking at the last generation of it. Family, within the next 25 years, family is not going to be what it should be.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one, because I think family will always be family. It's going to be different, but I do believe family's still going to be family.
Do you think they'll be close like they are now?
No, that's what I'm saying. If family will always be family, but where we, we'd go by every so often and see uncles and aunts, cousins and nephews. Now, if it's not the immediate family, it almost doesn't matter anymore.
Well, family reunions have seriously dropped off over the generations. We don't see near the family reunions that we used to see. And when you do have a family reunion, nobody goes because everybody is too busy. And a lot of people don't go to family reunions because we don't know anybody anymore. Because their children have grown up and we don't know them. And so it reaches a point where everybody is strangers. I mean, if we had a Volant family reunion right now, it would scare me to death as to who would be there because, well, just take Craig's family alone, not counting the rest of my nieces and nephews and sisters and so on and so forth. I don't have too many uncles or aunts. Don't think I have any uncles left. I got two aunts left. But the family is dwindling. But on the other side of it, you've got Craig's children's children who are all having children. And if you bring them to a function, I have no clue who they are.
That's the way I am with Cousin Vic down in Arizona. I never knew him at all, but I've come to know him on Facebook, but I don't know any of his kids, and I feel horrible about that.
Right. But there you got a factor too you got to include, and that's distance.
Yes.
There is a vast distance between Iowa and Arizona.
I only see him at funerals.
Yeah. And that's about the way it is. And it's sad, but that's when we do get to see people at weddings and funerals.
Yeah.
And it probably will always be that way. But I do believe in the end, families are still families. And I don't think we're going to see a total dying out of families. The family values are still there, but we just don't demonstrate them because we haven't got time anymore.
For those listening, if you don't do like I said our family does with the hugs and saying I love you, I didn't start doing that until I married my wife, and my wife's family did that. And it really impacted me and made me feel closer when I started doing that with my side of the family. It really impacted me. I felt a lot closer. So if you don't do it, swallow your pride or whatever it takes and start doing it, and I'm confident that you will see it prosper like a flower growing. No one's going to push you away. No one's going to look at you like you're stupid. Please start doing it. It will really change your life.
Yeah, it's never too late. It's never too late to reverse things. And I agree with you on that 100%, Craig. Just as a reminder, I've been trying to switch back and forth between Exat and the new chat box. And for those of you that may have joined us a little bit later or didn't hear the opening segment, we're trying a new chat box. And if you don't go into it today, I would like, at least for the next 2 days, tomorrow and Wednesday, for the rest of this week, try it out. And it is called Minute, MINNIT .chat / BNNS Radio. So far, we've only got Big D, and Miss Liz was there, but she's no longer in there. And but we've been having some issues with Exat, and so we're trying out this new suggested chat box called Minute.chat, MINNIT.chat. And if you would, please sign up for that, and I want to give it a try so that we can eliminate Exat if we can, because of the issues that we've been having with people signing on to Exat. And I'll keep reminding you of that. Again, that address is Minute, MINNIT .chat / BNNS Radio. And with that, we will be right back. It's time for our morning break.
Goodness, help us press on to the prize. Let our witness be your goodness. Help us press on to the prize. Let our witness Let a witness Press on to the prize. God, we come to you. Let our hearts be renewed. Give us the strength to carry on. May everything we do bring honor to you. Give us the strength to carry on. Carry on. Carry on. On and
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, chug, chug, chug. If this is how your car is sounding, you need to call 815-544-0537. That's right, my friends. Belvedere Auto Clinic, located 301 West Locust Street, Belvedere, Illinois. Call and ask for Tom. He can make your car run like new. That's right. Belvedere's best-kept little secret is Belvedere Auto Clinic. You need to call today, 815-544-0537. Come on, do it now.
Making confusion an art form.
But maybe they'll be a little bit wiser for the wear.
Uncle Bill on BNNS Radio.
Whether looking to buy a vehicle or in need of repairs, State Street Auto Rebuilders specialise in restoration, street rod building, collision repair and towing, as well as being a used car dealership and rentals. Located at 420 Fairview Street, Belvedere, Illinois, State Street Auto Rebuilders have been in business since 1982. For quotes and service, telephone State Street Auto Rebuilders on area code 815-544-7013.
You're listening to Belvedere's Network News and Sports Radio, bringing you the best in internet radio. That's BNNSradio.com. All day, every day. BNNSradio.com.
And we are back here live in our studios at 221 North Main Street, Belvedere, Illinois, 61008. We're at the corner of Lincoln and Main Street, and our mailing address is 221 North Main Street, Belvedere, Illinois, 61008. That's for all you financiers out there that would like to donate and make a donation to the radio station to keep us afloat. And because it does take money to run a radio station, folks, whether you believe that or not. And also, we want to give a shout out to our great, you just heard their bumpers or their commercials. State Street Auto Rebuilders over there on Fairview Street, our good friend Mr. Kit. If you're having car troubles and you need to get it to a repair shop, call Mr. Kit and he'll tow it over to Tom over there at the Belvedere Auto Clinic, or you can call Katie's car hauling and he'll get it over to Tom over at Belvedere Auto Clinic. And he's the guy across the street from the YMCA. Do not go to the one on the same side as the YMCA, and just take my word on that. But take it to Tom, because Tom will make your car run like new. And if you've been in a boomer or a crash 'em up, and you've been thinking of that you were in the Indy 500 and you need some body work, take it to Mr. Kit over at State Street Auto Rebuilders, and he'll make it look like new. So with it, you can't get a better combination than that. You got Steve and Mr. Kit and Tom, and that is the three musketeers that can make your car look, run, and perform just like a new one. And we thank our sponsors and our supporters And you can be one of them too if you just contact me at bnnsradio@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to discuss with you how you can become a supporter and a sponsor of BNNS Radio and get your name on the air as well. Also, if you want to call 815-544-2967, 815-544-2967, you can get in on the conversation and be a part of this wonderful trio of informants known as the morning show. Yeah. We got Craig and we got Big D as well as moi, Uncle Bill, sitting in here this morning. Currently, we're at 69 degrees in Belvedere with partly sunny skies, a few clouds. Winds have dropped down to 9 miles per hour, 70% humidity. High today, 76, comfortable 76 with a lower humidity. And humidity today is only going to be right around that 70% mark. And so it's going to be a nice, comfortable day in northern Boone County and a breakaway from the rain and downpours that we've been having. Haven't been able to enjoy my new deck since it rains every time we go out there. Don't forget, coming up starting August 8th through the 13th is the Boone County Fair. And Scotty McCreery will be here this year to entertain on Saturday night. And I don't know if you're a American Idol fan or not, but he won the 10th season, I think it was. And he'll be here. And that show no longer airs on TV, if you're not aware of that. They had their final show. Ran its gamut. I don't even know how many years that ran. Do you know how many seasons they had, Big D?
No, I don't.
I can't remember how many seasons that they actually had. 10, 20 seasons. I know they had more than 10, something like 20, 22, 25, something like that. You know something that I remember, I found out and I realized while we were doing the first segment of our show, you know what I realized, Big D?
What was that?
Now that we're on YouTube, I can't eat while we're broadcasting now.
Why not?
Because I'm on camera. I can't be chunking around stuff, while you're talking and blah, blah, blah.
Who cares?
I used to be able to eat and talk at the same time.
See, that's why I didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Take me off camera to eat. No, don't do that, guys. Anyway, people like looking at this lovely face of mine. Not my Walter face. I'm smiling. See? I'm smiling.
You are, and the mental problems just keep going.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Uncle Bill.
What?
I got one for. Oh, by the way, just to update some folks on it. Have you noticed that the Democrats are just absolutely throwing each other under the bus every day?
Yeah, and we're not even going to go there.
All right. What about global warming?
Because I'm so sick of Democrats. I'm sick of Republicans. I'm sick of
I'm doing
global warming. I'm sick of it all.
I'm doing it more as a comedy section because it's absolutely hysterical. Because the longer they do this Russian collusion thing, the more people are starting to realize this. I tell you what. This is going to be hysterical because I'm going to make a prediction this far out. The 2018 elections are coming due. Midterm elections for Congress. And I'm going to make this prediction. Not only are Democrats going to lose seats, but Republican incumbents are going to lose seats. And I'll tell you why what I base that on, see if you guys agree. The media is trying their best to tell people how to vote again. It's a repeat of President Trump's election. Because every so often I'm starting to read news stories now about how Democrats are going to take over in the House and the Senate. Because people want to stop Trump. And yet you got people like Jill Stein, super liberal, has just crawled all over Democrats over this Russian collusion story stuff. So I have a funny feeling that the 2018 elections we're going to see more of the shocked looks and, well, we just don't understand why things, the American people have become so stupid. What do you think?
More than we are now?
You have a text message.
Uh-oh. Live radio, folks. We forget to turn our phones off, too.
It's off.
Oh, Lord. Let's see what else we got. I wish O'Reilly would do something. I keep hearing about he's going to here. He's going to start his own website or something. I don't know what he's doing. Al Gore, big news. Al Gore refuses to give direct answers when confronted over bogus 2006 claims on climate change. You guys remember all the stuff that he claimed was supposed to have already been gone wrong by now?
We mentioned that last week on the show about the oceans rising and beachfront properties being gone, etc.
Well, and didn't you check on that? I think ocean levels since, 2000 have only risen like way less than 1 inch. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm out of it. What?
Out of what?
I've asked a question and everybody just dead air.
No, I answered you.
Yeah.
Is my mic off?
Okay, let's see. There was a anyway, real quick to finish up on climate change. Folks, I've talked to Uncle Bill about this, and I know I have Craig. Guys, more and more people are falling away from the climate change bandwagon. I've noticed this. We've still got the people out there, oh my God, but more and more people are starting to fall away from it. We told you, you heard it here first on this show. Do not jump on this bandwagon, because this thing is fixing to go over a cliff big time. So.
Well, there's even people getting away from bashing Trump and
oh yeah, these protests and stuff are getting way smaller.
Media's turning around, realizing that they're losing popularity, and so they're changing their tune as well.
Oh yeah,
that's what I say in this 12-minute segment that I talked about earlier on this gentleman that made the 12-year prediction during one of his messages. A lot of this, and in his message, he did mention the media, that the media was going to have a collapse, a falling down, a renewal, and that's exactly what we're seeing. The media is collapsing. And I mean, now this man, as he was, Yeah, and if you want to watch it, I can post up the link. I can go back and get it and post it up if somebody's interested in really wanting to watch it. But, I mean, the guy, when he was delivering his message, he was sweating profusely, and he had his eyes closed as if he was getting the words from God himself. And he was quoting and mentioning names from the Old Testament through to the New Testament, how they intertwine into things that are occurring right now. Or when he was given the message, he was saying these are the things that are to come. And ever since Donald Trump's election to President of the United States, these things are beginning to develop. He had no clue back 12 years ago. I shouldn't say he didn't have any clue because he's the one that kind of prophesied it. But at the time, he didn't say that in 12 years this is going to happen. Or he never does put a time limit on what is happening. But it was almost as if he was getting this message from the Lord as to how things are going to happen down the road. And if you compare what he says to what's taking place in our society today, right now, we're seeing a collapse of the media. We're seeing world peace coming around. It's a struggle yet. ISIS is dwindling dramatically. And there's more people calming down and being more anti-bashing and more supportive in a degree. But there are the diehards, like you're never going to get some climatologists, scientists, and other wannabe people, theorists, and so on and so forth with climate change and all this other crap. You're never going to change some of those people's attitudes. Just like over 2,000 years, we've never changed everybody's attitude about God or that God even exists. I mean, I watched a video also over the weekend of a Muslim who literally is tearing a female reporter apart and is basically on the air called for her death. And now they're thinking of they better get bodyguards for this woman because the Muslim society is after this woman because she is such a strong proponent of anti-Sharia law. And it's getting to be pretty dramatic. And so, I mean, there's always going to be those standouts. But I think we need to start turning, like I said earlier, we need to start turning our eyes more towards the good that's going on in this country and looking at, maybe it's not exciting to report that yesterday, the First Presbyterian Church had a old-fashioned corn boil. By the way, thanks to Karen and her crew, Mary, and all the other people that helped out in the kitchen. It was a great, great time, you know.
Okay, I got to ask, what on earth is a corn boil?
You boil corn and eat it.
Are you talking like corn on the cob?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just like you do at home, you grab a couple, half a dozen ears of corn, you throw it in boiling water, you cook it till it's tender, and you eat it.
Sure, I was thinking corn balls. What do they call them? You know,
corn fritters.
There you go. That's what I was picturing in my mind.
No, this is the old-fashioned corn boil where you just boil corn and you have hot dogs, and we had barbecue, we had watermelon, we had muskmelon, and we had hot fudge sundaes.
I wish someone would have mentioned that when we were having our 4th of July parties. That would have been absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. And I mean, it was a grand, wonderful time. But does anybody really care? Other than the people here in our church, does anybody really care? Is this something worthy of putting out on TV or putting out on the news media?
No.
Nobody cares.
People like bad drama.
But have you something that this makes me think of? You know why people don't like these old social gatherings like this?
No. I did not say that. People loved the social gathering.
I understand that.
I'm talking about the media reporting on that. If you were to call Channel 13, 23, 17, any one of the media stations in Rockford, not one of them would have sent a camera crew out here yesterday to film the kids playing games out in the yard or a bunch of church people sitting around eating corn on the cob.
Now, here in Omaha, they will video stuff like that, but they'll only show it at the end of broadcasts and it's typically on a weekend when there's not much else going on, not much other horrible news, so they fill it with this good news at the end of the program.
And there's your key word, Craig. It's a filler.
Yep.
And we had a news station here that started doing that. During the newscast, and granted it was towards the end of it, they do a couple of good feel-good stories.
And whether you know this or not, according to the FCC rules, they are required by law that they have to air PSAs, which is a public service announcement, and they cannot charge for that. And
how often do they have to do that?
I'd have to go back and look at the regulation, but see, most PSAs that you'll find run non-prime time. And they're used as a filler for space where somebody hasn't paid for a commercial to run during that time period, because everybody wants their commercials to run through prime time.
Sure.
But they do what the FCC says they got to do, and that's that they have to air the PSAs. They have to air so many PSAs. And then these good news stories, I believe that there's some requirement that they have to run them as well. So they use them as fillers if they don't have enough commercials to fill their segment of time that they have dedicated to the news. Or at least they use it, like you said, Craig, they use it at the end of the broadcast to add a little highlight to the news.
They do that in Omaha. I don't know if other cities do that. Do they do that down there?
Just a little bit.
I like one of those national broadcasts. I think it's ABC. At the end of their newscast, they always have one good news story. They end their show with a good news story. So, anyway. Craig, is there time to get into anything that we talked about earlier, or is that for another day?
I'd like to get into theology early in the show because I think it'll carry most of the show. But one thing I would like to mention, you had sent me a link, and this is politics. You had sent me a link sometime last week about Illinois and some guy that was questioning. I don't remember what it was, whether it was a congressional, a local senator. What do they call that? They get together and the senators argue with the governor. And anyway, this guy was up and he was questioning the budget for Illinois and kept saying, is this necessary? Our state is broke. Is this necessary? A bunch of money, over $1 million, went to cattle breeders, stuff like that. And The gal
glad
that was
you- I-
answering.
I'm glad you mentioned that because
Leader Curry, I believe you were presenting the bill yesterday.
I would like to play
going to
this
page
video
7, and I'm
for you
asking-
for a moment. It's a little bit longer than the average video that we like to play. But now this is the type of people that we need in government,
Absolutely.
in the everyday local state level government. I'm not talking about federal government, although it wouldn't hurt to have people like this in our federal government.
Trey
But-
Gowdy's.
Illinois, for those that you do not know, Illinois has gone 3 years without a budget. And we are on the verge of bankruptcy.
Well, he said the state
Well-
is absolutely broke.
We are broke. We are broke, but we have not formally filed bankruptcy yet.
Weren't you
So-
saying that even the lottery, they were giving them, what are they called? IOUs?
IOUs, yeah, they're not even paying lottery tickets. Some guy won $10 million, $5 or $10 million on a scratch off, and now the state's refusing to pay it because they're claiming the 16-year-old son bought the ticket. And somebody sold him that ticket. Make them responsible. Anyway, let me play this video because this is what we're talking about, folks. This is what we are really talking about when it comes down to sensible government. I'm glad you brought this up, Craig. This is sensible government.
Leader Curry, I believe you were presenting the bill yesterday. So I'm going to page 7, and I'm asking, when you have a state that's penniless, why you'd be looking at a pilot program at this point in time for $2,600,000.
Because it has value.
I see. How about page 13, section 120? The sum of $750,000 for the fairgrounds in Du Quoin. Is that something we spend when we're penniless? Does that have value?
Continuing appropriation.
Well, does that have value?
Clearly it did, or it would never have been in the budget.
How about page 14? $852,400 for contractual services. Can you tell me what that consists of?
This is a Department of Agriculture contract. I believe it has appeared in budgets before. I believe in the mission of the state's Department of Agriculture.
Well, my question is, though, when you're broke, when you're penniless, is this an essential element of a budget?
Apparently the governor proposed this.
Well, he didn't propose
Maybe
it.
you should
He didn't
ask him.
propose it twice because you've got another $476,500 in there, and it's for the very same thing. Well, let's move on. Let's look at page 8. How about entertainment contracts for $696,000? Is that useful?
Yeah, I believe this is the state fair. I believe we did this last year as well. I believe it was in the governor's budget.
Well, we've done the same thing every year, Leader, and that's why we're in the hole we're in. That's why I ask these questions. Certainly, when you're talking about $7 billion in the hole and more, counting, we ought to be giving this some thoughtful, I think, more thoughtful concern, don't you?
Why don't you speak to the local representative in whose district
I'll
that
do
fair
that.
appears?
I'll take that under advisement. Page 17, awards to livestock breeders for $221,000. Essential?
Cost of the state fair in the governor's budget.
We're penniless. Awards and premiums, $483,000. Useful?
Same answer.
Well, excuse me, there's another line item for the same amount, so I guess we're off on our accounting already. So the total here is $883,500, and this is all useful to you when we're in a deep hole, right?
Following the governor's lead.
Which governor? Page 18.
I think his name is Rauner.
Yeah. Well, I can give you the history on a couple other governors too, so we don't want to go there today though. Page 18, Breeders' Fund, grant money of $1,187,600. Useful?
Ditto.
When you're broke. That's non-responsive. Breeders' Fund, $1,605,500. Same answer?
Ditto.
Another allocation here for the Department of Agriculture doesn't state what it's for. $1,798,600. What's that for?
Ditto.
What's ditto mean? Useful? Not useful? Did you read this, leader? Have you read this budget? Have you read all 534 pages of this?
Yes.
How
I thought
recently?
it was 500. Yesterday.
And did you know that our state constitution says that each representative is to have one of these on their desk before a bill is passed? Did you know that? That's in our constitution. My goodness. Let's talk about some pretty big money here. How about rehabilitation of county fairgrounds for $1.3 million? Is that necessary?
Ditto.
How would you know that?
Yeah. I know. Right.
How would you know that? Have you talked to the county fairground people? Well, how about let's move on. We're having some trouble here getting a consensus as to what's useful and what's not. How about fair and state fair horse racing for $329,000 when you're broke?
Clearly, some people have thought over the years that the state fairs are valuable, and I can only say one more time, Representative, ditto. And may I just suggest to the chair and to the body that if you're going to go through the budget with one line after another, my answer will continue to be ditto. And I don't know that that is a useful expenditure of scarce legislative time.
Here's the problem, and I won't put the body through this. It's pretty obvious you've never run a business, you've never had to account for money, and debt has no impact on you whatsoever, especially when it has to do with taxpayer funds. I'm not going to go through this. This is simply embarrassing.
What do you think of that one, Big D?
I like that. This is simply embarrassing.
Well,
how is this woman allowed? I mean, she is. You guys elected her at some point to be intelligent enough, and all she can say is ditto.
Well, she's a leader introducing a budget, and she just said, I just read it yesterday. All 500, come on. She didn't read that, all 500 and some pages just yesterday. I mean, somebody had to put this budget together, and to be so insulting and like he said, it's embarrassing to answer. Ditto. All of my question answers will be ditto.
Yeah, and she didn't want to answer line by line because that would mean having to explain.
Mm-hmm.
And for her to explain, I love people like her. To have to explain yourself is beneath you. Now think about that. She does not believe she has to explain what she does.
Well, and again, she or the representative, I wish I knew which representative it was, but he kept saying, and we're broke.
And
Are
she didn't
these
care.
of value?
And she didn't care.
And she didn't care one bit.
You could hear that in her voice. She didn't care.
Apparently, I'm following the governor's lead. Now, wait a minute. If you're following the governor's lead, why in the hell would the governor veto his own budget? If he's the one that developed this budget, why would he veto it?
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see why Illinois is broke and where the money's going. I am embarrassed to say I'm a part of all this because I'm an Illinois taxpayer.
Where did this video come out at?
What do you mean, where did it come out
Well,
at?
I mean, has it been made really public, or do you have to go find it on YouTube, or what?
It's called Illinois Policy Madigan Budget Debate. You can go to YouTube and find it.
See, I'm wondering why the press hasn't picked up on this.
Well, because they don't care about Illinois.
What were the things on the budget that were the exact same number and they were in there twice? He mentioned two different things that were in the budget twice.
Yeah, they were something to do with agriculture. And they had a line item for $680-some thousand or $480-some thousand.
Okay.
And
so
then,
those are in there twice. Does that mean instead of 400,000, they're getting 8?
well, that's what he said. He says apparently you don't understand because our total is not. Well, he said this is unresponsive when she couldn't respond to it, and he said so. Our total is $880,000 plus, and we're broke.
Or does that other 400,000 go in someone's pocket instead?
Well, apparently because she can't explain why it's in there twice.
Do you know?
For the
Do you
exact
know?
same amount.
You know what all this is, don't you, Craig?
What's that?
It's constituent payoffs.
What do you mean by that?
In other words, there are, you've heard the term county fathers or city fathers, meaning the big shakers and movers in an area. The people that seem to have influence that can put the word out and people will go do it.
Yes. The actual people that are running things, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the people, they will find a way to get these people money. I'm going to give you $500,000 to erect a building such and such. All I want you to do is get the word out to get me elected back in office. Well, you get elected into office, I get you your $500,000, and then lo and behold, we can't build this building here, or it gets tied up in litigation or something, and that $500,000.
That sounds like the Clinton. What's the charity thing they had?
Yeah, the foundation.
A lot of people got stuck. I'm sorry. Go ahead. It just sounded exactly
but
like that.
But that's exactly what all this is.
That was the Haitian fund. The Clinton Foundation had millions of dollars for Haitian relief, and they have not received a dime from the Clinton Foundation since she lost the election. And by the way, for those that are kind of wondering, this representative that is bringing this at this budget debate is the Representative Dwight Kay. And that's on Senate Bill 2048. And this is Madigan's budget, Speaker of the House. Madigan, and this man is a crook criminal from get-go, and they overrode the governor's veto, and our budget went up 32%, and yet we still have this garbage in the budget. And this Representative Kay so eloquently picked over this budget line by line item, and all he asked for was a simple explanation.
I think he's great. I wish we had it. Just what you said. I wish we had him in Washington, and I wish we had it in Nebraska. And Nebraska isn't near the shape that Illinois is in.
Oh, Illinois is in desperate, sad shape.
We need a guy like this in every state of the union.
Well, yeah, we do. We need a Trey Gowdy in every state. But unfortunately, yeah, is Trey Gowdy raising hell up in Washington? Yes, he is. But what's he getting done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That's because they're blocking everything he tries to do, just like this guy here. He brought all this to light. And if you watch the video, everybody that's in the background are milling around. They're talking to each other. They're laughing. They're carrying on, having other conversations. Not one person is really paying attention to this guy, questioning the leader who is introducing this budget, or the leader of the debate, I guess. And nobody stands up and demands that the leader answer Representative Kay's questions.
And you can hear the disdain in her voice.
Oh, absolutely.
She is not a happy woman.
How dare you question this?
That's a good way to put it, because that's exactly what her voice sounds like.
That's it. That's the first thing I picked up on. I mean, you know what it brings me to mind? This phrase. Who uttered this phrase? I do not recall. Who was best known for uttering that like 40-something times during questioning?
It was either her or him. Clinton, I don't remember which one.
Yeah, it was
Hillary Clinton. That's her favorite phrase. I do not recall.
Yeah, whenever she was being questioned on Benghazi.
She used it in Benghazi. She used it on her email server.
Yep.
I do not recall.
That's right, because the standard joke was the Clintons wrote a book about their presidency, and they don't recall anything about it.
Yeah, it's a short book.
I guess the part that really frustrates me is, number one, Illinois is broke. And a lot of the stuff that he brought out, okay, $600,000 when you're 7-point-some billion dollars in the hole. $600,000 to take that out of the budget, is that really going to make a difference in the budget? It's like the campaign that my Lions Club did some years back, where we held a campaign to send a kid to college for a penny. That was our theme. Send a kid to college for a penny. Now, everybody knows right off the top of your head, what are you talking about? Send a kid to college for a penny. You realize how many thousands of dollars it takes to send a kid to college? Yes, that's true. But if everybody in the state would donate one penny, we could send a kid to college. Fully paid. So you take that one penny and you start subtracting, and it goes away eventually. Or you add a penny and your deficit begins to go away. So, yeah, taking $600,000 out of the budget may not sound like a lot of money when you're $7 billion in debt, but every little penny helps.
Yeah.
And this is what this guy's trying to do. And what infuriates me is that nobody's paying attention to him. Nobody is applauding. And yet you take the President of the United States, or you take the governor of a state, gives a State of the Union address or a State of the State address, even mayors who give a State of the City address, and you'll get people that'll stand up and applaud.
Well,
And you know the country's in trouble financially, and yet, they stand up and they make their fancy little speech, and how many times do they jump up and down applauding? Rather than people like Mr. K standing up and saying, wait a minute, what are we applauding? We are in trouble, folks. We're broke.
Yeah, but how many times in Illinois politics have you seen this dog and pony show?
Well, it's never ending. I understand that, and I know it's a pipe dream to think that it's ever going to change. But if I ran my household the way the state is running theirs, my wife and I would be living in one of them little tiny houses that they advertise on TV now. Well, of course, those aren't so cheap either now. They're running around $80,000 for one of them little things.
Oh my goodness! I need to go into business building those.
Have you seen this show?
I've seen the little houses. I didn't have any. I had no idea they were going that high.
Oh yeah, these people are spending $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 to live in 102 square feet.
Well, why would you need gold-plated copper piping and gold-painted walls and all of that? I mean, that's the only way they could cost that much to build.
Oh, I don't know why it could. There's no way that, you can build a dog house that isn't much smaller than these small houses, and my God, how much lumber goes into that?
Right.
It's just sales. It's sales.
Yeah.
But my point is this. If I don't have the budget to run my household, I've seriously got to make some changes and make some adjustments so that I can sustain my quality of living.
Something that needs mention, though, Bill, about your comment, him, and what difference does it make, this one guy saying all this? Well, the advantage we have now over days of yours is that we have the internet and we have C-SPAN. So yes, this one guy is getting up and saying this stuff. Mainstream media is not broadcasting it, but some of us, granted it's a few, but some of us are watching C-SPAN. Some of us are watching YouTube. I would never have known about this gentleman, Bill, if you had not sent me the link. And I did spend the time to watch it.
I understand that, and I appreciate that. But the sad part of it is that we can take up a half hour of our time talking about it, but it's not going to change the fact that the idiots passed a 32% budget increase, and they call it a budget. I'm sorry, I don't accept it. And by broadcasting this, it makes for great conversation, and it makes for good kudos to Mr. K or Representative K, but
admittedly, the handful of us that are watching via YouTube or C-SPAN, what have you, granted, we're not enough that's going to change anything.
I know that, and that's the sad, and that's the part that hurts, is because this man is absolutely 100% correct, and yet he's the one that gets absolutely no attention.
But at the bottom of the line, at the end of the day, the bottom line is, who do you blame?
The man who wrote the budget, Mr. Madigan, should be in prison.
Well, I agree, but at the end of the day, who do we have to blame?
The voters. I know. Blame the voters.
Well, if more people would educate themselves on what they're voting for, every time something comes up for a vote, you've got so much misinformation, it's not even funny.
That's true.
Big D, you say something at the end of every show that they ought to say at the end of every national media news broadcast. Don't take what we say for how's that go? You say it every show.
Don't take what we say as gospel. Get out there, research, learn it for yourself, and make up your own mind.
Exactly. That's what they should mandate. The FCC should mandate that at the end of every national news broadcast.
But see, the news media doesn't want you to research it. The news media doesn't want you to become more informed on a subject.
That's how they pass budgets.
Do you know, and I'll end my part of this, when they passed Obamacare, 2,000 plus pages, that over 90% of Congress had not even done anything more than skim it. And that
we have to read it to know what's in it.
And over half
of
the bill
so
wasn't even half of the bill wasn't even written when they passed it. A lot of people didn't even know that. Over 50% of the bill was not even written at the time of passage. Now, how can you pass a bill that's not even completely written? But the average American people, oh my God, it's going to do such wonderful things. It's going to be great. Anyway, that's my rant.
Well, to end this segment, so far, when this video was put out, at the time that I got it, there are 12,000 reactions, 3.1 million comments, and 3.1 thousand comments and 1.7 million views. So there are 1.7 million people in the state of, I don't know where they're from, but 1 million people have seen this video. So, and I'm sure people are making comments on it, the same as we are, how ludicrous this leadership is in the state of Illinois. Well, thank you all for joining us. And not too much activity in the new chat box, minute.chat. I don't know. Please let me know if you all like to stay with Exat, even though we're having issues with it and people are having a hard time getting into it. Let me know whether you want to stay with Exat or if you want to switch over to Minute. It's your choice because I can go with either one. And I don't know if it's difficult getting into Minute because you have to sign up and have a password and all that kind of stuff. Let me know. Drop me an email at bnnsradio@gmail.com or somehow let me know whether you like it or not. This has been the morning show with Uncle Bill, Big D, and our research team, Craig. We'll be back again tomorrow with some more interesting stories, and we'll do some theology tomorrow if we get the chance. I know we'll get the chance. Big D?
All right, this has been another 2 hours of the morning show. 2 hours of your life you'll never get back. Thanks for joining us today. Uncle Bill, the ever-knowing, all-seeing eye on the back of a dollar bill, the guy who knows it all and will tell it to you. Me, your co-host, I'm just big, lovable, but I'm going to say something that's going to make somebody mad. Our crack research team, Craig, and we'd like to mention Miss Liz when she can be here. Y'all take care. Get out there like Uncle Bill just showed you. Do some research. Find out what's going on. Educate yourself. You might not be happy, but you'll know the truth. Y'all take care. Remember, God loves you, so do we. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
The BNNS Morning Show with Uncle Bill. He was once a banker but lost interest.
Very funny.
He was once addicted to soap, but he's clean now.
Hard.
He was once addicted to the hokey pokey, but he turned himself around.
Okay, that's enough now.
He used to be indecisive, but now he's not so sure.
Really, please stop.
He's only half ambidextrous.
Just get out.
He has the eye of the tiger and a lifetime ban from the zoo. Okay.
Security.
BNNS Radio. You're listening to BNNS Radio.
The voice of the internet. The voice of America.